Hello, this is Randall Martin, and thank you for being with us today. And on this program, we're going to talk about business. You know, most programs we talk about business and we talk about various other topics, but today I'm very fortunate to have two local business experts. And with us is Jason Benitez, VP of Diversity and Community Inclusion, well, you get it all, and Community Inclusion for the Capital Region Chamber, as well as Danielle Davis, Director of BIPOC Business Growth. There's a lot of new acronyms out there, so I'm trying to get them all. Danielle, tell us about what that acronym is and what it stands for and how it's utilized in business.
Yes, so this is an acronym that a lot of people are not familiar with. So it's Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. So that's what BIPOC means.
Okay. So that's it's a kind of it's an all-inclusive term, and as we spoke about off camera, it is a sort of catch-all to make sure that businesses are addressing the needs of all of the people in the community.
Yes, that is correct. So, a lot of time when programs are put in place to address minority communities, we tend to forget the indigenous people.
Right.
So, this acronym is specific to Black people, indigenous people, and people of color. So it's more inclusive.
Excellent. And we're going to talk about some of the ways that emerging businesses, existing and people that are thinking about going business can start their business and run it successfully. And we're going to start with the very basics, which is the business plan and how you kind of format your roadmap for success and try to get a gauge of sort of the broader ways that you can succeed. But before we talk about that, Jason, we're going to start with you, and I want you to tell the people a little bit about what you do at the chamber and how you guys can help small businesses grow.
Yes, thank you for that, Randall. And as mentioned, my name is Jason Benitez, the VP here at the Chamber for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. And it's really my job to assist our companies and our businesses, both for-profit and nonprofit, with their diversity, equity, and inclusion journey. We like to promote it as a journey because that denotes that it's really constantly evolving and it's really never ending. And we know that people are at different places of that journey. So as we try to attract new talent to the area, as we try to attract new businesses to the area, and as the demographics in our country and region continue to shift, how can we be operating in a way that is more diverse, equitable, and inclusive? So the diversity is making sure that everyone who calls our region home, regardless of race, ethnicity, background, has an opportunity to be employed or to start a business. So that's the diversity piece. The equity piece is really assessing where there are gaps and disparities, whether that be earnings, whether that be leadership positions, and doing what we can to bring a little bit more equity to that landscape. And then the inclusion piece is both in our workplaces, but also in our community. How inclusive really is our region? Do people feel like they belong? Do people feel welcomed? And I think that we offer a number of resources, services, programs, initiative, and events that really speak to those notions and try to promote best practices around what we call DEI.
Now, even though some of our viewers and listeners are not directly so close to the capital region, and I want to encourage everyone that even though you guys do a great job and you've been there a while of diversity and inclusion, if you're not within our area where the Capital District region is chamber is close, seek out diversity and inclusion resources, which are now appearing in more and more companies. And they are designed to do just what Jason is doing and make sure that you avail themselves wherever you are around the world. You can hear our show on the internet. Make sure that you tap those companies and get those resources because that's specifically why those offices have been created. Now, Danielle, you're relatively new to the chamber, and again, it seems like these big companies, especially chambers of commerce, are recognizing that there needs to be much more of an emphasis on what I used to call minority business development, but now is BIPOC business development. Tell us about what you do and the kind of services you offer.
Okay, so my role actually falls under business growth overall that the chamber is involved with, and there's a vice president that's responsible for business growth. So this is a new role. It's a new focus where we have someone specifically assigned to deal with BIPOC businesses. We're going to have a press brief later on, so we'll go into more details there. But it's just to let the BIPOC businesses know that I'm here. I'm reaching out to people. You can reach out to me. And the aim is to really sit down with you and go through and see how we can get BIPOC businesses to grow. And there's so much things that we can do. And someone said this to me last week, and I like it. I'm the clearinghouse for business resources for BIPOC businesses. So just think of it like that. We can connect you from the chamber here. We can connect you to resources that exist all over. And there's tons of different types of resources. Most times people think of funding, but it's not just funding. There's the education piece, which you mentioned business plans earlier, but that is also a key part of growing your business.
Well, we're going to hop into the specifics of the business plan in a moment, but you also have a very interesting story about where you've, in your previous life, you're a successful businesswoman. You started a company, and I believe you're from Jamaica.
Yes.
So
I am Jamaican. Born and raised in Jamaica, educated in Jamaica. And I moved to the capital region. I served 18 years in the military in Jamaica before I moved here. And I had this great idea to start a business, great idea to start more than one business. So yes, I did have a restaurant for 9 years.
That's a tough business, a restaurant.
During COVID, and we were literally closed for 18 months because I was in a government building in the Empire State Plaza, which is the state capital. And by the governor closing the food court, obviously, we were closed for that time. And I decided not to reopen after 18 months when we were all given the opportunity to go back in and reopen. And so one of the reasons I think I was selected for this role was because of that experience I had myself of going through the teething pains of starting a business. A lot of people will have idea, and the president of the chamber said it this morning. Some people make great cupcakes and they think they make awesome cupcakes, and they do, and they figure, let me start a bakery to make cupcakes. But there's so much more that's involved with that, where you have to do your whole market analysis and all of that to actually make that a successful business. So you can be a great pastry chef. Does it mean you're going to be a good business owner? Are you going to be able to take this business to the next level where you want it to be? So this is where the chamber comes in, in connecting you to those kind of resources that will help you see whether or not your business idea is workable, if it's feasible, and also getting you to grow and move to the next step.
Wonderful. It's funny. Me and Jason, we were talking about this on our call a little bit last night, that, there is a consensus that, if you're good, or a misconception that if you're good at a particular thing, that you can necessarily turn that into a successful business, which are two totally different things. Having a skill and being able to do one thing and even do it well is not at all the same as being a good business person. And a lot of executives don't even know they're good at running businesses. They don't even know the hands-on. but they know how to run a business, and that's kind of the real level of expertise that you need. But today we're going to focus on business plans and how you can start and anticipate and maybe build in the kind of resources that you need. So when you're planning your business out, you can do that market analysis. You can do that, kind of create a structure that's robust enough to withstand all life changes. Because as you said, I'm glad you mentioned your business, because I said restaurants are a tough business. And,
Yes.
you know, and especially in such an unpredictable climate as we have. No one could have foreseen, you know, a pandemic. No one could have, you know, foreseen hyperinflation where prices are crazy. But as a business, you got to deal with whatever life throws at you. So let's jump back with how you have a concept for a business, or you maybe already in it, but you don't really have a business plan, or you did a business plan that was for the bank. But people want to see a business plan, and there are companies that will help you do a business plan, but it's not really a detailed roadmap. It's just, you know, an instrument so that you can, you know, get funding. How do people go about trying to plan and get create a business plan that is really workable and serviceable for them to help guide them through their business development and launch?
So that's a pretty good question. And I like the fact that you use the word roadmap. The word I use is GPS. So clearly we're old school. It used to be a roadmap that you used to get around. Now you
Yes.
just turn on your phone and you can use Waze and Google Maps and all of that. So think of it as a GPS to get your business going, or a roadmap, as you say. But just to correct you, a business plan is not just to get funded. And maybe that's the misconception that is out there. A well-written business plan will help you get funding. So that is one of the reasons you need to do a business plan, because someone is going to look at it and say, this person has thought through this, the funding that they need, this is what they're going to use that funding to do. And this is a projection for growth. So yes, that's one of the reasons to do a business plan. But another reason is, if you're just starting, or if you already have a business plan will help you steer your business as you start to grow. So a good business plan will guide you through the stages of starting. So yeah, you know, you need to create the LLC, you need to do this, that. But those are just some of the aspects of it. You use your business plan to learn how to structure your business. It helps you to run and to grow a new business. And also, so every stage of your business, you can do a business plan. If you can decide every 3 years or every 5 years, I'm going to do a plan, or I'm going to upgrade the plan I have, because things may have changed.
So you're saying it's not just a one-time thing. It's not just a one-time document. It can
I
evolve.
would not, if you plan to be in business for a while, I would not suggest that it's a one-time document, because the landscape will change. So someone may have done a business plan in 2018, then COVID happened. And now they have to totally restructure the way they do business and do things. So it means they now have to revise their business plan and say, okay, let me transform the way I think. Let me look at another market. Let me look at a different way of branding and marketing. So the business plan, it's a written tool about your business that projects 3 to 5 years ahead. It outlines your path that the business intends to make, how you're going to make money, and how you're going to grow revenue. A business plan, a good business plan, you need to break that down into the minis. So you have a plan for sale, you have to do marketing, and all of this, you have to do research. Now I'm going to make a plug here. I did an entrepreneur boot camp right here at the Capital Region Chamber 5 years ago. And that was literally 5 years after I started my business. And I said to myself, having done it, I should have done this before I started.
Right.
Because here it's like a mini MBA where it takes you through each stages, and the subject matter experts that come in to that 12-week program actually guide you through every step. So you're going to do a business, you need to have a mission, you need to have a mission statement. And once you've defined that and written that down, from that angle, you can now continue to write your business plan. So someone taking your plan, not just the funder, but the funders need that plan to actually look at what your plan is. They're going to see that you've done the market research. So I make great cupcakes, but is there a market for my cupcakes?
Right.
Is it that the market is already saturated and there are 10 cupcake companies out there? So that market research will help you decide if there is a need and if you actually have a market for that. And also you have to look at the location that you're going into. So all that research information is going to go into your business plan, which is going to help to drive you to making your final decision. You have to look at pricing. There are pricing calculators out there. The Small Business Development Center here in the Capital Region actually helps with that. So again, a lot of time we go into business and we don't sit down and for every single thing that has to be accounted for, not just the overhead of rent and power and gas, but everything has to be accounted for. And from that, you do your pricing calculator and say, in order to break even, this is what my product will be sold for. In order to make a profit, this is what it's going to be sold for. And you determine if it's going to be 3% profit, 5% profit, and you do your projections based on that. So that's how detailed your business plan has to be. So it's not just a tool to go get money, but it's a working document that you're now going to follow if you stay on the path of that plan to get you to where you need to go. And then you go, oh, wait, it works. I want to grow again. Now, in order to grow, again, you're going to do another business plan or revise the one you made before.
Well, let me pause you right there because in my business plan, my experience, things did not go according to plan. You know, I made all these over-optimistic, idealized thoughts. And, you know, and life takes over and things take longer. They cost more. They're more burdensome. Jason, can you speak to some of the things you've seen? A lot of businesses come and go. What are some of the things that you've seen that businesses are challenged with that actually may end up either crippling the business or hindering them? And the reason why I ask is that, you know, we don't know what we don't know. So we just kind of go ahead and just do what we do. But if you can give us a window into what are some of the things that you've seen that have or business mistakes that you've seen that we want to avoid, so as people are thinking about this and their business plan, they can factor in some of these things.
I think to answer that question from my particular lens, doing diversity work, but also a little bit of what Danielle does, I think it's to her point also not evolving with the times. That is one misstep that a business owner, particularly a small business owner, can make, not evolving with the times. So whether that be, as Danielle mentioned, the marketing component and really moving more of that marketing away from print media to online, social media. This is where we see companies hesitant to keeping up with the technology, you know, starting to fall behind. So much of what we do as a human race now is on these little devices, both personal and professional. So I think that it's in any company's best interest to have an online social media presence using, and the great part about it is a lot of it is really at low cost or no cost to just create a Facebook page or create a LinkedIn page and get that out there. Another thing that I would say in relation to that is I think COVID really accentuated this point that our work lives and our personal lives are so intertwined. So I think that where I've seen some other companies maybe make missteps is, you know, what are the cultural shifts that are happening as a people, as a country, as a region, and how socially conscious is your organization? I think, whether it be, this month with Pride Month and having an inclusive message going out that you support the LGBTQ community. I think we live in times where, people want to kind of dig into their position on a political or social issue. And if your company's reputation and your company's messaging isn't resonating with really some of those cultural shifts, I think that that's where we're seeing companies kind of fall behind as well. And that could, right now, this younger generation coming into the workplace is more diverse. They care about diversity, equity, and inclusion more, and they want to, when working for a company, align themselves with a business that has the same ideals and morals that align with theirs. So I think that companies need to be aware of some of that as well as we grow in consciousness, as we grow socially in our awareness and embracing of diversity. I think businesses need to keep up with that. And what are people expecting? What's the market expecting? What is the messaging that's going to land well with your target market? And we've seen, some companies just make some really baffling mistakes in that area where they try to launch a product, a service, or initiative where they have not really engaged with a diverse set of folks in crafting that idea, so that when they get to the point of launching, it just does not resonate well with a certain portion of our community. So I would say both evolving with the times, particularly in regards to technology and social media, but also keeping your finger on the pulse of where we are as a country, as a nation, and particularly, this younger millennial audience that's soon going to surpass the baby boomers in the employee market. Our employees are soon shifting as the baby boomers age out, retire out. It's now going to be the millennials in leadership positions. And what are the things that speak to them and don't speak to them? And I think companies need to be paying a little bit more attention to that, and then adjust their messaging, their services, and their initiatives, to cater to that audience.
So you can't do what you can't necessarily do what you've always done.
I just said that to somebody this morning. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. So said another,
or maybe not.
Way,
when it comes to customers, you may not.
Nothing changes. So
right.
If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to get what you're going to fall behind, because we're in a period where technology and business and growth moves at a rapid pace, and if you don't make the effort to keep up, you'll be left behind.
Well, I think about, excuse my phone call that happened, but, I think about when you say that, like our parents, my parents, when they were off of work, they were off. The phone, the phone didn't ring. Like my parents, I don't ever remember them being called from work at home. They got home at 6 o'clock and that was it. They were, it wasn't work until the next morning. Whereas you say in our generation, we're on 24/7. And depending on what you do, your customers call you and they need you. And I'm going to add one more element before we jump back into the steps of how we're going to do this business plan. I think that the other thing is customer relations. Because of the now increasing contact that you have to have a very synergistic relationship with your customers. I've been able to have the same customers and grow my customers for years and years and years and years and years because I give that level of service. And as you say, you have to care about what they care about. You have to be there with them. You actually have to go beyond and do a little bit more than you may have had to in the past. So having that sort of robust customer relationship can help you. Even if you're behind the curve a little bit, it can help you adjust and adapt, at least keep the customers that you have. But certainly what you said, in terms of getting new customers, you have to do new things in different ways. And about the social media, it's interesting because, as you mentioned, it doesn't cost much in money, but it does cost in time. It's a flow of information. It's not just a Facebook thing that you get here or there. You've got to just keep feeding this thing. So I think having maybe, as you said, bringing millennials on that are more adept and familiar with having that continuing, evolving social media conversation is a good thing, because I know for me, it is, I'm just not on the net like that, in that way that I think that this next generation expects you to be. They expect you to, when they send you a Facebook or a DM or whatever, they expect an answer. Not just the next day, a 24-hour cycle. So there are a lot of challenges that are evolving. But just to cap off our conversation, Danielle, how do you go about now? You're saying you might need 1, 2, 3 business plans. You whatever it takes. You might need to update, evolve, change. How does one go about seeking the best way to do that? I mean, you can do it yourself, but as I think, a lot of times we're not objective. Where we're overly optimistic. We believe that this is going to happen, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And it's funny, every time I look at my bulletin board at the calendar of what I thought was going to happen, I'm like, none of that happened. It did, like the thing did happen, but it didn't happen the way that I necessarily envisioned it happening. So how do you get that sort of objective information to develop the plan?
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
You said you had a business plan. Do you sit down and follow a particular step to do that business plan, or is it that you had a plan and you just put it on paper?
Well, it's one thing I didn't do. I'm going to admit, I haven't really evolved it. I have my basic business plan. I have my expertise in media. I had customers. I had, a lot of different things going for me to pursue the business. And then once I sort of got funding and moved in that particular direction, and we started off, a lot of my business funding started off for a television station that I developed, and we launched it, and it went well. But after 3 or 4 years, I'm like, this business was so consuming. It was a 24-hour-a-day operation, and even though I knew that, I didn't think about having all the staff that it took. So I had to automate, and I did a lot of different things. And then after a while, I just thought, you know what? My market for where I wanted to go was too small. So I sold that company. So a lot of things just happen, like I said, where you realize things once you're in it that you didn't realize before you got to it. And I wish I would have followed your advice and just maybe annually set up a time and say, let's go back and revisit my business, look at my goals, what did I achieve, what worked, what didn't, and then write a new business plan.
Okay, so 2 things here. Maybe you had a really good business plan, but the landscape changed. Or maybe the business plan was not very good because it didn't cover everything. And that has happened with a lot of businesses where you have a decent business plan, but the market research portion of the plan, which is where we fall down all the time. Oh, we think we know. But a proper market research that looks at everything will take care of that and actually give you an idea.
Who does that though? Who can you go to that will do that in-depth market analysis for you?
Okay, so you can actually hire companies that does market research for you if you have that kind of funding. You can also utilize a small business development center.
Okay.
And then there are individuals out there that there are professionals at writing business plan that you pay them and they do all of that, pull all the pieces together, get that information and put something together for you. Obviously, it would have to have your input if that professional is a good, writer and stuff like that. Now, this is something I learned recently as well, where you must take time to work on your business. We all work in our business to get it going. But you have to step back and work on your business, whether you assign 1 day each month, 1 day each week. But working on that business is also looking at your business plan, see where you're at, and if you're actually getting to where you want to be, and if you need to make tweaks. Working on your business also looks at professional development that you may need to get where you want to go. Something you mentioned when I asked you about your business plan is not realizing all of the things that goes into running a business. Sometimes we think we can do it ourselves. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. But in order for you to step back and have time to work on the business instead of in the business, it means you now have to bring on individuals who are experts in whatever areas. So you probably need more people working in the business to get it where it needs to go. And part of writing the business plan and calculating all the costs and doing all the mini plans within that plan is looking at labor. And that is now a cost that should have been factored in or should be factored in that plan when you're going to go forward and say, this is what it's going to cost to start the business, or this is what it is going to cost to grow the business. This is what it is going to cost to expand the business. So this is why the business plan is critical, because all of that should be in there. Now, there's no
And I just want to thank you. I want to thank
write
you.
a business plan.
I just want to.
But again, I'm plugging. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I just want to thank you for making that point, especially about personnel and when you decide what you can do. Like, you might be able to do all those individual things. Like, I can do accounting, I can do a lot of the functions of my business, but I can't do them all at the same time. And you can't do that. Like, I was doing sales because I knew that side of it. I was doing engineering because I knew that side of it. I know a bit about business management, and so like many people in business, I have a specialized task that I know, and then I'm a generalist in business. But one thing you can't be is all places at the same time. And so
Absolutely.
you've got to hire or have access to that staff or those expertise. Even if you can do it, in the big picture, you can't do it synergistically and do a great
Exactly.
job. And something suffers. So I'm glad you made that
Exactly.
point.
And so that's a mistake. I made the same mistake too. So that's a mistake a lot of us make. And so, because we're thinking, oh, I'm cutting costs by not hiring an extra one or two person to do this, this, and this, because I can do it. But no, you're going to end up being burnt out. And you're not actually going to be putting enough time and effort into certain areas because you're spreading yourself thin. So all of those things that needs to be done on paper. So you're actually looking at it, looking at the document and seeing if you're following through with the plan you had made in the initial stages. And this is why it's critical. Now, you had asked about resources. Part of what the Chamber Boot Camp does, and we have a fall session coming up in September, is at the end of it, you write a business plan. Well, you start writing the business plan from day one. So each of the modules that you go through is getting you there. So at the end of it, everything that you've been documenting all the way through each week as you go through the classes, you will have a business plan which you present. And then there's a financial award given to the first, second, and third place winners of this business. We call it like a Shark Tank, but it's not really a Shark Tank. And Sunmark Financial Credit Union actually, funds the first prize. But even if you don't win, you actually start documenting stuff. Now, I did the boot camp 5 years into business, and that was the first time I actually sat down and wrote what the mission is. And I liked it because the lady that came in and was getting all of us to write something down, when I eventually had it on paper, I was like, wow, but that's true, and I like it. But I never thought about that before. I knew I had a product that I could push, but all those little things that needed to come into it, it all came together when you do that. So yeah, there's the small businesses as administration. You can go online. There are portals, where there's self-taught courses on how to write a business plan, or you can go do MBAs if you want to go to that level, boot camps, things like that, or hire someone if you know someone who can actually help you to write that business plan. But it's important to actually do the research, the proper market research, because as I said before, the business plan is your GPS or roadmap to grow in your business, to get into where you want to go, to get to that final destination and beyond.
Well, that's why I thought it was great to have you guys on as guests, especially in the beginning of this series, because it circles back to a lot of the resources that you need to do this. You're not going to be able to get on your own. Like the level of research, real research, that you need is not really, it's expensive to try to get there on your own. And you don't have that kind of, most people don't have the perspective, they kind of have that objectivity to do this. And so my advice is that for people that are either looking to do the initial business plan or update the business plan, is to utilize a local business organization like a chamber, I think chambers are actually ideally suited because, again, you'd have to spend thousands of dollars with a business coach or a business service to do these things for you, where chamber organizations make it economical for you to do. And you can go in and get a lot of resources, not just in the beginning, but then you get networking, you get coaching, you get mentoring. There's a lot of services, but especially in the business plan, you need the level of detailed research that usually only a regional business organization can provide. So no matter where you are in the world, there are chambers all over. That's the first place I would look to do that, because it's, like I said, it's not something you can really do on your own. It's something that you might do on your own, as I mentioned at the beginning, because you need a loan and they want to see some sort of documentation. But if you really want a living, breathing document that's going to help you, then I suggest that people avail themselves of a Chamber of Commerce, find a local group, a great and reputable group like the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce, Capital Region Chamber of Commerce. And so that, you can get the services that you need and you can take that thing off your plate. You can just download to them what you know and what you think, and they can now give you an objective answers as to what the market may look like.
And just to add to that, there are a lot of resources, free resources out there.
Right.
To help small businesses, micro businesses, start up and grow, that people do not know exist. There are resources for everyone, and then there are resources that are geared specifically to the BIPOC community.
Okay.
There are ways, to get the micro loans, to get the grants and stuff like that. So a lot of the time people are like, I can't afford to pay someone to do the research. But who knows? You may not know that you can actually get that research done through one of these agencies for free. One of these professionals can actually, I was talking to one of our members who made the Forbes Next 1000 list. He's from right here in the Capital Region. What he said to me was his pricing calculator, he didn't even have to pay for it. Someone sat down and actually, because there's an organization that will do that for you for free. And it showed him where he was not pricing out his product properly in order to make a profit. And now that he has done that and he's following that, he's seeing the profit and knows when he goes and he makes a bid, how it is to be done, because a professional sat down and did that with him. It didn't cost him anything. So sometimes in our head, we think that, I can't afford it, it's going to cost money. Yes, it's going to cost money. But there are actually resources out there that we can connect you to that can help you do that without you having to come up with the funds if you cannot afford it.
And another thing I find, Jason, much to the credit of your organizations, is that, it's not like, you pay a membership fee there, to join, but it's not like and there are other things there's some things you could pay for if you want advertising, but it's not like a constant upsell. You got to do this and then this and this and this. It's sort of like once you're a member, you just have access to these services, and you can do them all or as little as you want depending on it. But it's not like like in many business situations, this constant, you're not constantly shelling out money. You guys got a great group of generalized services and benefits that are designed for the specific purposes of benefiting businesses to help them grow and sustain and launch.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we are a membership organization, and yes, it is. There are dues. We don't really like to use the word dues. We look at it as an investment,
Right.
Because when people sign on with the chamber, you are not only investing in the region, but you're investing in your own company, your own business, and then yourself. So we have our members, invest with us. And then you're right. Once you invest in that initial investment, the annual due fee, you have a team of 30 individuals here, really at your request to tap into that resource. I do want to encourage folks that, some folks, many of our members, pay that annual membership fee and really, may engage at one or two events. But then there are others that we say work the membership. Mm-hmm. And I think that is initiative that we like to see our business members take, is actually working your membership, maximizing the resources and benefits of the membership, coming out to events, coming to networking. If broadening your network or getting additional staff is your need, then we have networking events constantly being offered in the morning and in the evening for you to be able to do that. The social media presence that we have, our companies can lean on that social media presence. So you're correct in that there are some things throughout the year where there is a nominal fee in addition to your annual membership, but we don't try to necessarily nickel and dime folks or upsell or offer these other services at a cost. It's really, you're investing in yourself, your business, you're investing in your community, and once you join, you really have an abundance of resources, of personnel, of expertise available to you. So if anybody out there is really looking to learn more, you can go to capitalregionchamber.com and just click around on a number of our tabs, including our diversity and equity resources that are right there on the homepage. But we're really here to not only see our businesses first and foremost be successful, but if our businesses are successful and our communities are left behind, then we're doing something wrong. So we're really adopting continually and increasingly every day a more regional mindset that embraces not only the business landscape, but also making sure that our communities and our people and our residents have what they need to continue to be successful, thrive, have opportunity and prosperity. So that's what we're about. And that's, with the help of Danielle and her services and her resources and her expertise, we have a great team here, and we're, just continuing to look at this region in more diverse and inclusive ways and how we can continue to be a resource. So please, if there's anybody listening or watching that wants to connect with us directly, we're more than happy to do so.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on. It was a wealth of information that you guys have provided. I hope you will come back. We've got, we're going to do a whole series of these programs, but this is, as I hoped it, as I knew it was, is a great way to start this conversation to get people percolating about how to not only engage and compete, but thrive in business. And thriving requires planning. And planning starts with the business plan. So thank you guys so much for being my guest today. Really, really appreciate you. I encourage our audience to get in touch with you. And if you're not in the area, get in touch with an organization like you. But you guys do a great job. And thank you so much. And hopefully we will talk again soon.